Hi, I'm here in rural Ontario, Canada. I'm camping on my friend's lawn. You can see the trillium in the background. And I just went for a pretty long bike ride. It was my first big bike ride of the season. Yes, super late in the season. And I need a stretch. So this is a little bit of yoga for cyclists. The first thing I noticed when I got off my bike is all I wanted to do was hang. So we'll start like that. Just bend your knees a lot and hang heavily on your thighs. You can sway from side to side if it feels good. Shake your head no and yes. Bend the knees as much as you need to so you have like a really nice stretch in the hamstrings. However, you're not straining. We never want to lock our knees in a forward bend, especially when we're hanging all our weight over. Let the belly rest on the thighs. Shaking the head no and yes. And then interlace your fingers, slide them up the nape of the neck until the bony part, the occipitus. Draw your elbows in and then just roll the head and neck from side to side. It's gonna be just like a pretty gentle stretch. You can put the hands on the ground if they reach, maybe fingertips, sway back and forth. And now engage the thighs so we can fully straighten the legs and lift the heels up. That's a calf stretch. So rock onto the toes, scoop in the belly, engage the thighs, lift the heels. Again, a couple of times. So if the thighs are engaged, it's okay to fully straighten the leg. We're not hyperextending. The thigh muscles will keep us safe. Let's rock from side to side. Maybe bend one knee at a time. Ooh, that feels good on the IT bands. So let's just bend one knee. Oh, kind of twist away from the bent leg and switch sides. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and exhale. Keep it really gentle, kind of flowy movements. Just see where your edge is. See what feels good. Drop to the knees. Come onto all fours. Now, if your wrists are feeling tired or sore from holding handlebars, just make fists. And we'll inhale to arch the back, lift the heart, look up. Exhale to round. Inhale, cow pose, arching, lifting up, lifting head up. Exhale, round. The belly is always slightly engaged here, so we're not letting the belly totally go. That keeps the lower back safe. And exhale. Inhale to a neutral spine. Extend your right leg out to the side and sit heavily on your left heel for a wide leg child's pose. So now we're getting a stretch in the inner hamstring. Let's keep engaging slightly through the belly and see if you can start to breathe into your back, the back and shoulders. So think about inhaling and inflating the back and shoulders like blowing up wings behind you. Not blowing up in a bomb sense, like blowing up a balloon. So imagine you're kind of just inflating wings behind you with air. And exhale fully. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let's inhale, come up. You're probably facing me. So let's exhale. We're gonna just turn towards your right leg. So now you're facing sideways. So you can always just turn your head to look at me. Big breath in. And then as you exhale, lean forward onto that leg. So I'm stretching the calf and hamstring again. If you want to, if it feels good, you can take the heel of your hand, glide it onto the tippy toes and gently pull. So I'm not pulling like this with my wrist, I'm bending my elbow and engaging my bicep, bringing my armpit closer to me in order to just help this stretch along. Inhale, slowly come up. Let's go back onto all fours. I'm just twisting around. So now you're facing me again. Inhale and exhale. On fists, inhale and exhale. Inhale, neutral spine, belly is zipped in. Extend your left leg out and sit heavily on your right heel. Forehead comes to the mat. Let the hands just be heavy. Let them slump down. And then as you inhale and exhale like an accordion, inflate or breathe air into the back and shoulders. Letting any tension out of there. Inhale, slowly come back up. And now turn towards your left leg. I'm going to just swing my leg around so you can see me, but you're gonna be turned sideways. And then sit on the heel again. So again, these are all opposite movements and opposite actions to what we did when we were cycling. Inhale deeply and then exhale. Lean your chest towards your toes, flexing that left foot so that you can feel your calf stretching. And if you want, you slide the heel of your hand to help you and then draw with a bent elbow the armpit towards you. Now, if you're turned, which you probably are, swivel back around so that you have, again, your tabletop position, knees under hips, hands underneath shoulders. Bend your fingers towards you, tuck your toes under, and start to sit back for a stretch in the wrists. And you can even bring your hands closer if your wrists are not feeling super flexible. Spread your fingers wide. Again, I know after a long cycle, this doesn't feel super great, but it's important, right? Because you've just had your wrists in an extension this whole time, or pronated, and now we are supinating the wrists, or flexing the wrists. Good little wrist stretch there. So come to fists now, just so that we don't have to bring the wrists all the way back. Did I say pronate before? Yeah, we just pronated the wrists. Yeah, so you can supinate the wrists. We don't want to supinate the wrists. So let's come onto fists, and now extend, doesn't matter, let's say your right leg forward, and we'll stretch out the hip flexor. Toenails tuck back onto the mat. Now zip in through your center line, and as you do, bring your hands interlaced fingers to the front leg, roll your shoulders back. The reason why we zip in the belly is so that we don't sink into the lower back and we don't sink into the hip flexor joint, right? If we let all of our muscles go here, then we're just putting all of our weight into these little joints, and it's not very good for our health. So for the longevity of your muscles and your practice in yoga and cycling, remember to engage your core just gently as you do any stretches. From here, drop fingertips to the ground and then extend your leg back. Push your heel away from you. You're going to feel a deeper stretch now in your hip flexor. Super nice. It's a little intense, but mostly super nice. Gently drop the back leg. And now heel toe your right foot out to the side. Bring it onto a 45-degree angle and put your hands on the ground. If you can go to your elbows, go for it. So we're stretching the external rotation of our hip now. And just for a moment, we won't hold it for very long. From here, start to heel toe your foot back in, scoop in your belly, come up. So now I have my right foot forward, left foot back, and we'll go into a modified camel pose as a counter stretch to the hunching motion of biking. The first thing I'm gonna do before that though is just interlace my fingers behind me. Ugh, that feels good. Oh my gosh, so tight. And squeeze the heels of my hands together, rolling the shoulders back to lift the heart. Again, opposite motion to cycling, right? That's why it feels really tight, but also delicious. I always promised myself I wasn't one of those yoga teachers that would use words like juicy stretch or delicious. I just did that. All right, gently release. Now bring your hands onto your sacrum, roll your shoulders back, zip in your belly, and lift your heart up. So again, we don't want to arch the back. We're continually moving the hips towards the front heel, zipping in the belly, just stretching the front of the abs, the rectus abdominis, and stretching the chest open. Now from here, if you know you have the flexibility, keep your foot where it is. If you're not sure, tuck toes so the fleshy pads of the toes are on the ground. And then see if you can find your heel. Once you do, readjust, pushing the hips forward, zipping the belly in. And then on the next inhale, lift the right arm up and back behind you. Oh, this feels so good. If you want more of a stretch in the chest, you can bend your elbow and bring your hand to cradle the head, and then push the head into the hands and think about turning your heart to open so your whole chest is towards the sky. Breathe. It's a bit of a tricky balance, but as long as you keep pulling in through your center midline, you'll find it. Scoop in your belly, come around sideways, so we're just swinging around. Let's stretch our front hamstring and calf again. This time, bring your opposite hand to your toes. And if you can't reach, that's okay. You can also just cross your hand over your shin. Gently release, come onto fists. And bring your right foot forward. Zip in the belly, look forward, and then interlace your fingers and bring them to your front thigh. Roll your shoulders back. Stretching out the left hip flexor now. We always want to make sure that the knee doesn't pass the ankle, so we have a perpendicular line to the ground with our front shin. So if you find that your knee is passing your ankle, just wiggle your foot forward a little more. Square the hips off here by wiggling left hip back, right hip forward, and again, find your midline. From here, tented fingers come to the ground. Tuck your toes under, belly is zipped. Extend your leg back behind you. Press your chest forward away from you to deepen that hip flexor stretch. From here, drop your right knee to the ground. Start to wiggle the left foot out to the side. It's on a 45-degree angle, and plant your hands down or maybe your elbows down. Bring the foot back in. Come back into your beginning setup for modified camel. Scoop in your belly, tail descends away from the waist. Interlace your fingers, roll your shoulders back, lift your heart. If you have the flexibility in your shoulders, you can squeeze the heels of your hands together and point your thumbs to the ground. Gently release. Now we're not going to do the beginner with the hands on the sacrum again because our spine's more warm now. If you know that you need more height, tuck your toes under. If not, leave toenails on the ground. Find your heel, pull in through your core, and then on your next inhale, extend your left arm away from you, stretching the rectus abdominals. That's the six-pack muscles. Let any tension out of the face and neck. Bend your elbow, cradle the head in the hands if you like. Turn your heart open. Gently release, swing around. Sit on your right heel and cross the right hand over the left foot. Gently release. And just come to seated, however that makes sense for you, and eventually lay down. Draw the knees into the chest, rock from side to side. Now, if you feel a lot of feedback in your hip flexors, that's the place where the legs meet the body, it's just because they're tight, and that's normal after biking. And when we do this, all the blood rushes to them, we're compressing them, we're crunching them in. You can put your hands on your knees and just roll your legs in one direction, and then switch directions. Let's take supine pigeon pose. So cross your right leg over your left, fish the hands between the legs and then around the other to hold the back of your thigh. Relax the shoulders to the ground. If you have the flexibility, you can reach around and hold the front of the shin. So if you're more flexible in this pose, you'll get a deeper stretch if you hold the shin. The more you relax the shoulders away from your ears, the more you can actually stretch out the neck as well, the SCM, the sternocleidomastoid straps. And we use those a lot when we're biking, right? Because sometimes our shoulders are hunched or we're looking around. And so this is a nice way to just let them relax. And if you want to even roll your head from side to side to feel that stretch in the SCMs, you can. Just be very mindful, very gentle. Gently release the hands. Scoot your bum over to your left and then let the legs come back onto the back and just switch. So left leg crosses over right, thread the needle or hold the front of the shin, actively relax the shoulders. Seems like a counterintuitive thing to say, actively relax the shoulders, but the truth is sometimes we can't relax our muscles until we tell them to, like consciously give ourselves permission to let go of tension. Roll your head if that feels good. Be very gentle with it though, very ginger. If you have any tension in your jaw, let that relax as well. Our hips and our jaws are inextricably linked. So sometimes when we do a deep hip stretch, we find that we clench our jaw or we notice tightness in our jaw. There's just two areas where we tend to carry a lot of tension. Slowly release. Foot to the ground, palms open to a T. Lift and scoot your butt towards the left side of your mat and let the legs fall to the right. Look over the left shoulder. If it's too much for you, uncross the legs. Gently look up, uncross, shift your hips back to center, Soles of the feet together, knees open for Supta Baddha Konasana, and just place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest, or maybe two hands on your belly, whatever feels better for you. And we'll just lay here. This will be our Shavasana today, our final resting pose. So I want to invite you to just stay here as long as you like. And take a moment of gratitude for your ride, for your able body, for the scenery you had along the way. Find gratitude for your heart that pumps the blood in your body and keeps you alive, that allows you to go on long bike rides. Gratitude that you have the equipment to actually go for a bike ride. You have the means to have a bicycle. And gratitude for right here, right now, for stretching, for returning to homeostasis, for acknowledging the great work you do.